Okay, I fixed it. I'm a hero.
Woo!
Okay.
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
God, no, it's like I'm asleep, bro.
You were
I
asleep.
ate so much comfort food. Because that's what that is to me now. That's just fucking comfort food.
At ramen's comfort.
The ramen with the
heavy
God,
cream.
what are they called? Yeah, the heavy cream. But what did I put in it?
Pot stickers.
Pot stickers. Ramen and pot stickers. They're just comfort food to me now. And I ate a bunch of it, and then I was sitting on the couch, and I just went. I was gone to the world.
Listening to the harmonious voices of Ryan and Shane.
Yep. Talking about ghosts. Okay, so El Dorado, eh?
Are you sure you want to do some jumping jacks? Get your blood flowing?
Nah.
Did you take your allergy med today?
Nah.
You should take a Benadryl tonight, too.
Hell yeah.
I will not be doing that. I've had anxiety all day. Alright, you ready?
Yes.
Alright. 3, 2, 1.
So, it's not the most important thing about the movie, but I feel that after we fix your chair,
My chair just broke. Sorry.
We should really take a look at the fact that I don't think they did it on purpose, but the whole movie does boil down to the two white guys get to El Dorado and save the day from the one or two bad guys, and one of them's a native, and one of them is
the whitest Spaniard,
the whitest Lord Farquaad looking ass. DreamWorks really just ran the hits when they made Shrek, didn't they?
I said this during our viewing, but I feel like this was like their first draft. Like they were like,
I don't know.
Write some quippy dialogue. Let's write some songs. Let's have some fun. And
here's what made this is El Dorado, right?
And this is also CityWavesCinema.
Bah.
That's James.
Bah.
I'm America.
Bah.
Because we can't do an intro to save our lives.
Nor would I ever want to. This is far more fun.
Carry on.
So we watched The Road to El Dorado.
Yeah.
From the year 2000.
The pre-Shrek era of DreamWorks.
5 years old when this movie came out, okay?
I was 6.
I was 5 years old when this movie came out. I have never in my life seen a more clearly sexualized character in a movie of that era meant for kids. Like, the movie is meant for kids. And I can't think of a character I've seen that's more sexualized than Chell. Yes, America.
Jessica Rabbit.
I guess I wasn't really exposed to a lot of Jessica Rabbit. When did Who Framed Roger Rabbit come out?
Ooh, that's a great question. Same era.
Yeah, but that also I didn't see that movie earlier, until I was like 20.
Till I made you watch it?
24. Great movie.
I fucking love Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Anyways, no, and even like Jessica Rabbit.
Just kidding.
1980, 1990.
1988.
1988. Not the same era. Very different era.
Very different era.
In that case, I would say Chell was probably partially inspired by Jessica Rabbit. But if you were to compare the two in just the way they're drawn, Jessica Rabbit has the gown.
Boobs.
Yeah, she's got the rack, but she's got the gown that goes all the way to the floor, right?
Yeah, high
and
slit.
It's got the high slit, right? Chell's basically wearing underwear. It's just it's a wrap. Like what's it called? A bandeau?
Yeah, a bandeau.
Yeah, wrapped around her torso. Then you see her abdomen, and then she's got. I mean, it's. I don't know how to describe the clothing really.
I mean, it's tribal clothing. It's like native clothing. But it's like. But what I guess for my question for you.
You just see her whole legs.
My question for you, and I only can speak to this because I literally watched it last night. Kita from Atlantis is wearing virtually the same thing.
Is she?
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen Atlantis in so long.
She also has a skirty skirt with a bikini bottom, if you will. And hers is more like a bra, I think.
That's not an official drawing. That's terrible. Well, goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah, she's wearing the exact same thing. So why aren't we
Oh.
talking about Kita?
Oh no. That's just Disney's stab at it. Okay, here's what happened. The guys at DreamWorks saw Who Framed Jessica Rabbit when they were horny teenage boys.
They saw.
Then they grew up, became animators, and they were like,
We're gonna let it go.
I'm gonna do that. They said, what? What?
You said Who Framed Jessica Rabbit.
Ah, Roger Rabbit, whatever.
They are married.
Oh yeah, they are, aren't they? So they saw the 1980s movie.
Mm-hmm.
Then they were like, I'm gonna draw that. Went to DreamWorks as adults, as animators, and did the Road to El Dorado. Had Chell, voiced by Rosie Perez, and they did all that animation, and it was sexual. And then as soon as the movie comes out, Disney people obviously go and see it, because guess when Atlantis came out? 2001.
Well, they would have had to have been animating it for a while. There was CGI in Atlantis. There was also CGI in Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, there's a lot of early animation.
Something that I think we have to talk about too is, I feel like, and I can only say this because I literally watched Atlantis last night.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the CGI in Atlantis held up better. Like, it doesn't feel as I can't think of the word, disjointed. It doesn't feel as disjointed. Whereas, like, in El Dorado, you can clearly see what's 2D drawn and what is
3D rendered
CGI, because it's a very clear, distinct difference. I made a comment about it on the water. I was like, the water animation looks fantastic. It looks very out of place.
The rest of it doesn't make sense. Okay, so the best way I can describe the Road to El Dorado is this is what every dungeon master wishes their D&D campaigns could be like.
You got a bard.
Because you have a pair of the greatest improvisers to ever improvise.
Truly.
According to a script. And that's probably why. But, like, okay.
Let's just
I also miss opening exposition songs. Can we start with that? Because the movie starts with a song that just gives you all the things you need to know
about El Dorado.
And that, you know, the movie is called The Road to El Dorado. So even if you haven't seen a preview for it, hi, that's me. You get the opening exposition song and you know the name of the movie, so you know exactly what's about to go down.
I had 3 notes about the song, and normally I'm not big on
that. I'm
not normally big on like I hate like pre-credits and like opening things like that. Like if I come to see a movie, I just want to see the movie. Like, don't put all this shit in front of me. I hated it in the old Disney era when it took like a million fucking years. But this intro was honestly a bop. It was catchy. It was poppy. The art was really pretty to look at. And it was a great way to exposition. James isn't wrong. Like, you get the whole history of El Dorado really quickly.
Yep.
Boop, boop, boop. And that was my last note. It was short, it was sweet, and it was to the point. Like, it didn't drag on. It didn't feel too long. You got the information, and then it was over. And then it was the movie. And honestly, if we're gonna do it, that's how it should be. 'Cause, yeah.
So, the main characters, Tulio and Miguel, are some pretty American accented Spaniards.
And
not even like 1500s American, like today American. And so that's fun.
The movie also opens with the Spaniards talking about going and conquering the New World.
Right, and they send Cortez.
They do send Cortez. I don't know, and maybe
he is not a Columbus knockoff.
No, Cortez is like a real person.
Right, but he's also not a Cortez knockoff. They modeled him after a different Spanish general conquistador.
I also want to point out that we talk a lot about like England colonization and stuff like that, but can we?
Yeah, but Spain rolled in and just fucked.
I was
up
like, but
Central
can we
America.
talk about Spain? Because
also Spain sent Columbus. So.
I know.
Like,
I have a lot of
the Queen. No, it wasn't the Queen. It was the King. It was King George. He wouldn't fucking let Columbus go. He was like, "I'm not fucking funding you."
So he went to Spain.
Columbus went to Spain, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll fund you." Shit.
That was my big thing. I was like, we don't talk enough about how Spain like just rolled up into most of the Americas and was like, fuck
This is where we live now.
And then the rest of the white people rolled up into America and kicked all the Spaniards out. So it
was just a few waves of bad times.
But yeah, I just really wanted to talk about that because we open up with the Spanish going and talking about conquering the New World, and I was like, we don't talk about that enough. We just don't.
We don't even mention it, really.
And then gambling, which I think is where you were gonna jump in.
Yeah, that's just loaded dice, which is, it's fine. I mean, I would like there to be some mystique about how they did their gamble, but all in all, this is the portion of the story where you have to be introduced to the characters in as little time as possible, because your runtime for this movie is an hour 30, and that includes your 4.5 minutes of credits at the end, right?
It's also a children's movie, and children have short attention spans, so the more you can
you gotta be going fast. So you get introduced to Tulio and Miguel, and you want to like them, and actually I do like them.
I like Tulio,
but I'll tell you what.
Who's your favorite?
Under no circumstances, I'm not gonna answer that question. Under no circumstances could Disney have approved this script, because your main character's main goal to start is to get rich in the seediest ways possible. Yes?
Tangled. Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider's main goal is to escape being killed.
Flynn Rider's main goal is to live on an island with a giant pile of fucking money.
Sure, but the more present goal is to not be killed.
Because he stole a fucking crown!
Yeah, Flynn's not a good guy.
If you're gonna say, like, Disney could never, I'm like, Disney fucking did.
Flynn is not the main character of Tangled. He is a side character.
He's the love interest.
He's the love interest, but he's not the main character. Now, if she was all about money, then maybe we'd have something there. But anyways,
I also want to point out that, like, okay, so they run this big con where they're using loaded dice, but then they don't use loaded dice for the last roll, and the last bet is the gold
versus the
map. And so that's a fair, and in that moment, that win with those dice was a fair win.
Oh yeah.
Like, technically they won fair and square. Like, so everyone gets mad because they were using loaded dice, but at the point when they weren't using loaded dice, it was all or nothing, and they won. So
that's true, but if they hadn't used the loaded dice, they wouldn't have had any collateral to gamble with for the map. So I imagine they're actually quite terrible at gambling, which is why they have to cheat. I mean, come on, they rolled on 7 because that's what the dice give them, and then they rolled on 7 again on regular dice and somehow pulled it out. So
I'm just saying that win was fair. Like, at that point, it was all or nothing. They played with regular dice, so no one should be mad because they won fair and square.
That's no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. You know how you can get in trouble for buying stuff with fake money, even if you don't know that it's fake money? It's like that.
I like gambling.
Clearly. So they have to escape the townsfolk, and they do this whole song and dance back and forth where they start blaming each other and shouting, and they start fighting each other, and then they battle. Everyone's so enthralled with this new development and this drama. And I'll tell you what,
drama.
There is maybe not a more effective technique at escaping a situation than to make the situation so much bigger all at once. And if you are thinking fast enough and on top of your feet enough, you can really take any situation that is looking not so great, seize control of it, and run all the way to the fences.
I think that's the biggest thing, is they like to seize control of the situations that they find themselves in a lot, and I think that's their main con. Like, they're mediocre at most other con things. They're
terrible liars.
They're not good at lying. They're not good at stealing. They're not good at
they're decent at singing.
Cheating. Then
they're not good at fighting.
They're good at improv, and they're good at taking control of a situation that they should not have control over.
Can we write a new Road to El Dorado, but instead of 2 con men who pull this joint, it's 2 improv comedians who are like relatively well known, but they're running a little gambling joint, right, to start it, because it's got to be sort of the same, and then it's just the rest of the movie is all about how good their improv skills are. And that's how they get around everything else. Because a lot of the things that happen in this movie are utter insanity. So they escape.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines comes from this portion, which is, it's actually in the fight. And Miguel says, "You fight like my sister."
That's a compliment. I fought your sister.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines and favorite memes from this movie. This movie has become more memeable as years have gone on.
The dialogue is just so good.
The dialogue is really good, and I'm wondering if I didn't like it as a child because the dialogue's kind of adult. Not like adult jokes necessarily. It's just a lot of comedy that you don't understand if you're...
It's comedy that requires the context of life.
Yes.
If you haven't had some life experience, the comedy will just float right over your head.
Yep.
It doesn't make it worse, but you can't reach that level of intellectual understanding. You have to have been through some stuff.
And it's something that DreamWorks,
they're really good
as a company, is really good at. Because it's been 2001, so it's been 20 plus years since Shrek came out, and every time I watch Shrek, I get a new joke. I see something else. Something else is new and funny. And I think it's just because there are some things that, you need to experience more life to enjoy.
Flushed Away is also like that.
I have not seen Flushed Away.
Flushed Away is not a good movie, but there is a lot of jokes in Flushed Away that are so fucking funny for no good goddamn reason. There really is just so much in that movie that is so stupid, but so funny. And the actors did a great job on it too. You know what movie that DreamWorks did that is not like that? It's fucking Shark Tale. Shark Tale sucks.
I hate
Shark Tale. Is not a good movie.
I hate Shark Tale.
You know what else is like it though? Megamind.
I've seen Megamind.
Home.
Which one's Home? Oh, is that
Jim Parsons plays a little alien that's annoying?
That one's cute.
That one's cute, and there's a lot of really good jokes in it. And Megamind has a ton of really good jokes in it. And also, the crowning king of DreamWorks animation, that is not Shrek, Madagascar.
I was about to say Despicable Me. I feel like the Minions have made them a lot of fucking money.
Oh, the Minions for sure, but that I feel like...
Madagascar is really funny in it.
Oh, Over the Hedge. Also,
there's some
really good upper level jokes in that
Sometimes
movie.
I forget that DreamWorks has had like some really actually decent animated movies because they get like, they're like, a lot of them other than like Shrek, I feel like for me, and Madagascar, because I've seen that so many times, are like one-offs. Like I've seen Over the Head. Fucking do not bring up that godforsaken hellhole.
All I can say about B-movie is that I enjoyed it the first time I watched it when I was a kid.
Nope.
I was a kid.
The animation's bad. It hurts me.
The animation looks like every other movie that was animated in 2007.
And the story's upsetting.
The story of B-movie is one of the most drug-addled, insane fucking things I've ever witnessed with my own eyes. Ray Liotta's there. All the bees stop working because they unionized or some shit. Like,
because they found out the people were stealing their honey.
Yeah. And the planet starts to die. It's like one of the most insane movie sequences of all time. And also Jerry Seinfeld's in it. And so sometimes it's really fucking funny. But most of the time it's like bad drugs.
Maybe a lot of executives, and I'll take this moment to remind everybody there's a fucking strike happening, but maybe the executives should watch the fucking B-movie.
Trolls was okay.
I love Trolls, but I have a very personal obsession with trolls.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about any of those movies.
I'm sorry. I went into DreamWorks movies to think about like how often they run this gag like they do in El Dorado, where there's a lot of like jokes that are really good.
Multi-tier jokes.
Yeah, but you have to like watch it or rewatch it or watch it and then a few years later rewatch it.
I think they're even though I'm not in a room of Trolls lovers, even in Trolls, there's a lot of those where you're just like, oh.
Oh yeah, you watch it again and you go, oh, they said that out loud. That was an inside thought. That was not
Branches.
That was an inside thought.
Branch
is what that was.
And the high ass cloud. Most of those two dialogues, you just sit back and watch and go, that's an adult thought.
The Trolls movie is not good because Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake are your leads.
I love it.
The Trolls movie is really good because all the background trolls that run along with Poppy have some of the most unhinged, bananas, crazy fucking dialogue that ever there will be. And that's why the movie's funny. It's not because they gave the good lines to the leads. They let the leads do the story shit. They gave all the good lines to the background characters.
Guy Diamond.
Doesn't he like shit diamonds or something, or like glitter? Like,
yeah.
The trolls are fucking crazy. It's maybe some of my favorite absurd things that have been done in American comedy, but oh my god. DreamWorks just does this.
I really just like, and we'll stop talking about it right after this, but in the new trailer for Trolls, Guy Diamond has a fake ID, or I think it's Baby Guy Diamond, the little one.
The little one.
And Poppy looks at it and she's like, who's grown up McAdulty pants? And he's like, are you a narc? And like, you could almost slide fucking. Yeah, he's like, are you a cop? Like, you could slide fucking in there and it would just be.
What a super bad reference. McLovin? Come on. That's so funny.
It's so good. Anyways El Dorado. We haven't even gotten on the boat yet.
The homies escape and they
make an impossible jump.
They do make an impossible jump directly into two barrels that are at first. Here's where the movie starts to become unhinged. They jump down 3-4 stories into barrels of water,
which would
fall. That would kill you.
I was like, that would
or at the
hurt.
very least, you would break some bones.
That's not enough water to cushion that fall.
No. So they jump in the barrels.
Maybe if you were a mouse.
They pull lids down over them, right?
From somewhere.
And then they get lifted up and loaded onto a... speaking of which, did they have cranes in 1560 or whatever?
They were...
Was it a pulley system or
cranes,
something?
But yes, you did have cranes.
Okay. So they get loaded onto the ship, and they kick out their little cork holes, which just drains the water, which is going to make the voyage to the New World suck. And then they go to get out, and they've had a big crate placed on top of their barrels, which is not an effective way to store things. I've loaded shipping containers for a part of my living. That's not a good way to do that.
I also really like something that I like that this movie did, and I'm gonna call it out before we leave the barrel section.
Mm-hmm.
Is this movie likes to call itself out on its nonsense a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a line when they're being lifted up and onto the boat where Miguel goes, "What's happening?" And Tulio immediately responds with, "We are in barrels? That is the extent of my knowledge." And it's just so funny because like it's little things like that throughout the movie that really make the movie enjoyable to watch. Because the minute there'd be times when James would ask a question out loud about the movie, and then 2 seconds later Tulio would ask the same question in the movie, and it's just it's a really good thing sometimes to just poke out the flaws.
The answer to everything in this movie is that the movie The Road to El Dorado knows that it's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so bullshit happens all the time. But no one ever defends the bullshit. They just go, yeah, well, you know. And that's how it goes.
So they pop out of the barrels.
Eventually they do.
And
immediately are imprisoned.
Because they're stowaways on a ship and Cortez is an asshole.
And would you like to know who plays Cortez?
You told me, but I don't remember, so go for it.
It's the same voice actor for Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
Jim
you
Cummings.
did tell me it was Jim Cummings.
Jim Cummings plays Cortez, doing maybe one of the most devastatingly intimidating low voices a villain could do. Really solid voice work from Jim Cummings in this movie. He has like 7 lines, but he just nails every one of them with malice.
I was like, it was really good line delivery for a really badly drawn and
oh my god, it's just big Farquaad.
And not well executed character.
It's just large Lord Farquaad. He had one goal, and that was to be the biggest dick he could be. And I think he succeeded.
I also love how he rolled a we'll wait till the end of the movie.
Okay.
But
so they get imprisoned, and then
Tulio has one of the most America like relatable times in the cell where he's just slamming his head against a wall. And Miguel is the secret genius of this team because like Tulio's the plan guy, but I feel like Miguel really
improvises better.
Yeah. He can roll with things a little bit better, although he rolls too hard and then tumbles off the edge of a cliff.
Balls just continue to roll, unfortunately for him.
He lacks the inside voice, according to Tulio.
They do bring that up later. They get imprisoned, and some time passes, and then the horse gets put on half rations, which we don't have an explanation for. Also,
because he's fat.
I guess. That's not spoken out loud though.
I think that's
just says Cortez says you're on half rations,
but
and it doesn't give the horse food.
They drew the horse hefty.
Oh, they just drew a horse. I don't. Okay, so it looks like all the other horses. He looks like Maximus from Tangled. Is that horse fat?
Maximus also does eat a significant portion of apples in that movie.
You know what? Maybe I should stop bringing up horses in movies. So
it's twice we've brought up Tangled.
They use a fallen apple to get the horse to try to bring them a pry bar so they can get their way out of the cell. The horse does not bring them back a pry bar.
And this is another moment where like the movie's calling itself out on its insanity. Like Tulio's like, he can't understand you. He doesn't know what a pry bar is. Like, this is dumb. What are you doing?
And then the horse drops the keys to the cell down the grate.
And Tulio says,
it's not a pry bar.
It's not a pry bar.
Which is true. The horse did not succeed in the mission. An alternative to the secondary goal was found, but he did not succeed in the mission to find a pry bar. So they get out, they execute the plan they have made where they get some provisions, steal a longboat. But then 9 things in a row go wrong.
So many
the
things.
horse goes over. Miguel makes a case for PETA and jumps into the water to save the horse, which I don't know that.
I'm glad they saved Attilo.
What?
That's his name.
No.
The horse?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Fucking, it's not Altillo.
It is Altillo.
No, it's not.
I'll wait.
It's not.
I'll wait.
It's not Altillo.
I'll wait.
I'm gonna have to Google it.
Yeah, because
IMDb's not gonna tell me the name of the horse that doesn't have a voice actor.
$10 says it's fucking what's his bucket. I can't think all of a sudden. He does all the animal voices.
What did you say his name was?
Altillo.
Altivo.
Altivo.
I was like, there's a V in there. There's a hard consonant that we're not.
You didn't even say that.
No, I didn't, but I heard you say Altillo, and I was like, that's not right. It's too flowy.
Altivo.
Yeah, Altivo.
Altivo the horse.
Altivo the horse, yes. So
the poor horsey,
the
really.
The horse gets fucked on the whole movie. It's really rough.
Until he goes and gets pampered.
Yeah. So they eventually get the horse into the rowboat.
And he coughs up the apple.
He coughs up the apple, but then he proceeds to eat all of the provisions that they had.
Cause he's a chunk.
Because he's hungry.
He's a chunk.
Oh, he's a fat bastard is what he is. And
Hey, no body shaming the horse.
He's a horse. I don't understand how he didn't capsize the rowboat to begin with, but we're not going to talk about that because this movie's on drugs.
I just kept telling James to stop asking questions about the movie because if you start asking questions, the whole thing kind of just deteriorates.
It comes apart. So they managed to make it to a beach in their delirium.
And they don't take the swords
They do eventually.
out of the skeletons?
Yeah. Miguel takes one.
Does he?
Yeah, that's what he's using
Okay.
to carve his way through the jungle. You remember?
No.
So they find skeletons with swords in them.
I thought that they for sure just were like, well, look at that.
Yeah,
and
no,
just walked off.
Miguel grabbed a sword from a skeleton.
Okay, never mind. I take back my comment.
Also, just prior to that, a bird did land on the end of a rowboat, and I just have to bring this up because it was a decision that was made. A bird, exhausted, lands on the end of the rowboat before they reach land, and they get this idea they're gonna grab it and they're gonna kill it and they're gonna have food. Like they don't say it. That's just communicated via telekinesis. So
nonverbal cues.
So we get the shot of the bird, and then we get the reverse angle from behind the bird towards our heroes, and all you can see is bird asshole. They animated a butthole onto the bird, and you can't even say it isn't, because there's nothing else on the bird besides a tiny butthole. They didn't do any other stuff. They didn't add other features that aren't normal bird features, and then they gave him a butthole.
James,
It doesn't. Why? Why did that choice get made?
Because it's DreamWorks. Do we really need to ask that?
Fucking crazy, dude.
I also would like to point out that through everything, through the fighting in the streets, through the getting in the very wet barrel, through the imprisonment, through the escape into the ocean, onto the beach, Tulio is as surprised as we, the audience, are that Miguel has managed to hold onto this fucking map in pristine condition the entire fucking time.
He just still has the
Out of his shirt. He just pulls up in his very open, flowy, piratey shirt and just goes, "Pow." And like Tulio does have a line about it. He's like, "You still have the map? How does he still have the map?" And I'm like, well, yep.
And now begins the montage where we do a song and we traverse a great distance with a bunch of jump cuts that will include some of the most D&D party actions of all time: getting lost, riding horses, playing with monkeys. It will also include full nudity in a children's movie. Only the backs, though, and butts and legs of these gentlemen.
It's DreamWorks. They're really into butts. It's a thing.
They really are into butts, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Chell's butt, their butts,
bird
butt,
minion butts,
every
trolls butts,
every DreamWorks mom. No, that's Pixar. Pixar's into butts too.
I would also like to point out that we have the world's most efficient tracker and resilient creature.
The armadillo?
Yes! The armadillo is with them.
He just rocks with them the whole time.
Movie.
I think that was kind of like a gag that they put in where it was just like, well, they meet an armadillo and then he's just going to follow him the whole time.
Why do I feel like... Because this sounds like some unhinged shit that would go on in a DreamWorks writer's room. They were like, okay, so we have this like the game scene later, right? Where they need a ball. What if the ball was an armadillo? Well, how the fuck would they have an armadillo that would be on their side? And they're like,
from the montage part, they're gonna meet animals, right? We got the monkeys in there. Why not add some more animals? Okay, like what other animals? Just the armadillo. No other animals? What is the nature of the animals that live in this place? Okay, there's 4 kinds of animals that live in this place.
There's armadillo.
Monkeys, there is a single armadillo, there are fucking dinosaur birds.
And the giant turtles.
And the prehistoric fish. Those are the animals that live in El Dorado. Also, we've made it to Central America where everyone speaks English. The boys they follow the map, they find all the locations, they make it to the final spot, and it's just this tablet thing, and then Chell is escaping from the city with a golden bauble.
She's thieving.
She's doing thievery.
She's also, I really want to say, because James is going to talk a lot about the animation of Chell, so I'm going to just put this in here right
I only
now.
have one note about the animation of Chell. I have two.
You've talked about it so much.
I have two actual notes about it.
I really appreciate DreamWorks for taking the time to animate a proportionally correct woman.
That's true. She does not have like this fucking hourglass, super thin, tiny waist with the big hips.
She's naughty.
She's like a normal human.
Yeah, she's got legs, she's got thighs, she's got arms, she's got
ass.
And she doesn't have ginormous boobs. Like, they're proportional boobs. Like, everything just looks...
It's not Jessica Rabbit Rack.
Yeah, she looks like a normal fucking person. Carry on.
So... Except for that, like... They didn't pay enough attention to animating her face.
Okay, her face is a little rough.
It's the lips, mostly. It's that everyone else has, like, normal people lips, and then hers are just painted on. And she's the only female character that has the lips just painted on. Because there's other female characters in the movie, the background characters.
But they're not the ones that are gonna give head later.
I fucking forgot about that.
They didn't have sex. She was in another location. On that body. Her head popped right up.
Why was his hair so fucked up if that's what they were doing? Anyways.
I'm not gonna comment
Jesus
on that.
Christ.
Anyways,
she's getting chased out of there, and an interaction occurs, and then they basically just sort of like softly kidnap these guys and take them back into the city.
I think they immediately because they didn't like rope them or anything. They were just like, we have spears, you're coming with us. But like they looked at the tablet when they looked at them, and they were like, we got to take these to like the higher
we got to
ups.
take these guys to that guy. So they take him in there. We cross a bridge. There's koi fish under the bridge, which is like, that's not where koi fish are.
The armadillo is following them.
The armadillo is following them, and they get into El Dorado, where they are greeted by, what was his name? Tykel, fucking little bitch McGee. Zekel Khan.
Wow, we were not close.
I wrote it down because I knew I would forget it. Zekel Khan is his name.
Where the fuck is Tykel from?
I don't know. And he is an easily tricked high priest.
He's a high priest where everything matches anything he wants it to match in his scripture.
Yeah.
Anything, he can make anything happen, like match what he's thinking, because that's what he just does. He keeps going.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
This dude's just so easily bamboozled.
Everyone there is, except I think the chief. I think the chief had it from the beginning.
I don't think the chief was bamboozled at all, but he was in a power struggle. Okay, I have one thing before you go. There are a lot of side characters in this movie that we spend a lot of time with, and all of them have not spoken, but fully fleshed out character arcs, as well as motive for every action they do. And it is so well executed with 1999 to the year 2000 animation. And we need to take a look at the way we're doing animated movies now and fucking stop it, because we just exposition dump. Fucking animated movies today suck. They're not fun. They just want to talk everything at you. That's all they want to do. You get more meaningful glances in this movie than you do in any animated movie in the last 2 years. Easily.
And there's actually a lot of, I'll say my thing after this because it'll be a great little silly thing to end off, but there's a lot of, it's something that you talk about in the acting world, that the best acting is reacting, and this is one of those few animated movies where you can watch the background, and maybe not all like the extra characters, but a lot of the characters who have speaking roles are reacting to what's happening. Like
it's like they actually just animated everything.
Yeah, and James is right. There's lots of little sideways glances, lots of like knowing like positioning of like body
language. They killed it on body language.
Like give Chell all the shit you want, but like a lot of
I would never give Chell shit. Not in a million years would I give Chell shit.
A lot of her, just even her background reactions of like
fucking magnificent communication.
Yeah, when she's like, like you can see it like in her everything.
You can watch every cringe, shrug, and shudder in every character. It's truly like the animation style. Yeah, it's older. It's not shiny and new. But they really pushed it to the limit on communication without speaking. They really did a good job on that. Gotta commend the studio for that. Because it's less done in Shrek, but they were doing a different animation style. And I'm trying to think of other movies that are 2D like that, where it's done that well. And I can't even look at a lot of Disney movies and go, you know what? They really pushed it all the way to the max with all the communication like that. Maybe like Treasure Planet?
I was gonna say Treasure Planet and Atlantis. I know I'm talking...
the fucking knockoffs that no one likes.
Well, and again, I've said it before on this channel, actually, and I'll say it again. If we're gonna remake some fucking Disney movies, maybe we should give Treasure Planet and Atlantis another fucking go.
My god, Treasure Planet, the sci-fi movie of the century, if you redid it with today's technology. Swear to God.
Oh, it'd be so good.
It'd be so
with the CGI.
Sick.
Oh, the fucking map.
Who plays Jim?
We can save that for
my god
tier night, because
we're never gonna fucking talk about it again.
I need to put it on Treasure Planet on here, because it's been so long since I've seen it. I could watch it again, and it'd be kind of like watching this one where I just
reminisce and talk shit.
Well, it's not even reminiscing. Like, it's been so long, and I saw it one time that you could honestly put it in front of me again, and it's like a new movie.
True.
I don't remember.
What was your little thing you wanted to end on?
I'd like to give another credit to the animation department of this movie for having the fucking balls to put nipples on a fucking character, because every background character that was not wearing a shirt had nipples.
All right, so all those guys, they had nipples.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of... Pocahontas is one of them. There's a lot of
Maui and Moana doesn't have nipples.
Yeah, there's a lot of animated movies where we are seeing even just male tops that just naked. Just
glass.
There's nothing there. And
Ken dolled the fuck out.
Every single character, even the background ones, every single one of them had nipples. And they were proportionally sized, they were in the correct place.
All the background characters also, like, have proportional bodies in this movie. Like, everyone looks like a real person and not like an amalgamation of what people would like an ideal person to be. It's really quite good.
And they were all different. Like, they were all drawn different. None of them looked like the exact same.
I'm sure they copy-pasted some of the background stuff, but, like, the chief doesn't look anything like any other character. And Seiko Kun, Ken, whatever, he doesn't look like any other character either.
I also like that there was, like, some... I know that they whitewashed the fuck out of the voice acting, but there...
Yeah.
There was some thought given to, like, what those...
Hey, I'll say this. They wanted... I read this in the trivia. They wanted Antonio Banderas for one of the leads, which would have been the opposite of whitewashing it. But he said because he had signed on to do Shrek.
Because Shrek 2 would have been in production at that point, because Shrek 1 was wrapping up.
He did not want to do another one.
Yeah. With
DreamWorks. So,
right.
We could have had it. I'm not saying they whitewashed it on purpose, but...
Can I finish my thought now?
Yeah, go.
I feel like they did take some time to really think about what those nationalities would have looked like.
Yeah, visually, it's quite good.
Like, because there was a lot of just detail drawn to, like, the jewelry, the hair, the...
Except for the fact that Miguel looks Scandinavian.
Not Miguel and Tulio. They look nothing like the fucking nationality they're supposed to be, but all the native people look like they could have been from the Aztecs or the Mayans.
One knock on them, they all have the exact same nose.
Okay, you can't win them all.
Listen, they won the war. They lost the battle on the nose, okay?
True. We'll give them that. All right, we will come back and
do the actual meat and potatoes of the movie and talk about Shell and her legs.
Apparently that's what we're going to talk about next time.
Well, that's not all we're going to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of... They'd go on a drug trip.
Dude, there is so much more batshit stuff that goes on. Holy shit.
We'll be back.
so fucking bad.
Is that why you got up and started pacing?
Yeah.
All right, well, while James goes and pees, it is my turn. This is my time to remind you all that we were not having a vote this week. Because in 2 episodes of the actual release of the podcast, it will be our 100th episode of the podcast. And that means that there is something that I have reserved for James. We're going to do an extra long episode that night. It won't feel any different for those of you that are joining us for stream. It'll just be one really mega long episode for the 100th episode for the podcast channel. So next Citywave Cinema actually is going to be a look back. We're going to but that is on my list, Green Gorilla. We're going to make a tier list of all the movies that we've watched thus far. We're going to do 2 of them. We're going to do best movies, and then we're also going to do what gave us the best episodes. So we're going to do that as episode 99 of the podcast, and then episode 100 will be something that I think will bring this podcast channel full circle, all the way from when it started that night at the end of stream, and Green Gorilla suggested that we do this, all the way till now. Full circle. All of it. So that'll be what we do next time. And I will let you guys vote on that one, because there won't be voting on the 100th episode. So you can vote for the 101 episode of CityWave Cinema next time. But I just wanted to remind you guys so that you didn't think you were being gypped this time. Sorry, I have a really hard time typing and talking. Clearly, El Dorado, part 1. I just didn't want you guys to feel like you were getting gypped out of a vote, so I wanted to remind you guys what was happening. And that's kind of what we decided, because after, as you guys know, if you were here last time, we were talking back and forth about what we wanted to do, and so James and I talked about it afterwards in order to get James's wish of having the actual 100th episode be the 100th episode. We're going to do an extra long one, and my thought process of having the tier list is going to come before, because that gives us that bump to that extra episode. So all good, all good, all good. We are going to still take our short break. As you notice, James is left to the bathroom. I'm going to go take some medicine, and then we will be right back. You are literally gonna run out of cookies, babe. I'm sorry. You ate them all! And my tree foils are almost gone. So I think there's a little sliver, like this much of the Thin Mints. Did you find those and eat those?
No, those are yours.
No, my Thin Mints are gone. That little tiny stack is yours. You can go grab those for you. You talk to the people for me.
What should I talk to him about?
How excited you are for the 100th episode, but they don't know what it is yet.
Oh. It's gonna be a time. It's gonna be a real good show. You don't want to tune in for that one. Mm-hmm.
I said it'd be a great way to bring it full circle.
We're never making another episode after.
From the start of that night when we were talking about Twilight, all the way till now.
Never gonna make another episode.
And this is the end.
That's the end of the show.
100 episodes.
100 episodes, and then we're done.
That's unfortunate, because I told them they could vote on the next movie during tier list night, so.
Well, why would you say something silly like that?
I didn't get the moment the show was over. I didn't know we were Unis honesting the shit out of this.
I'm gonna delete every episode. I'm gonna make Blake so sad.
Blake could be devastated.
Make Gina's so sad.
Ready? Great timing. You good now? You gonna take that Benadryl later?
That hurt my neck.
You wanna take that Benadryl now? Give it some time to kick in? No? Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
3, 2.
If you were to take some of your Dungeons and Dragons characters and you were escorted before the leaders of this remote civilization and they looked at you for 1.5 seconds and declared that you were the incarnation of their gods, how would you respond?
Depends, am I Tisris or Dahlia?
Well, Dahlia's active. Let's say Dahlia.
No.
Ah, great. You're terrible at improv.
I'd just be yes! Have you seen Dahlia's charisma? It's not great.
Touche.
If it was
Touche.
Tisris would be like, fuck yeah, I am. Would you like some banana bread to go with that?
Scissors is a
Let me
nightmare.
show you I'm a god. Eat this banana bread.
What a nightmare of a character. Okay, so welcome to CityWavesCinema. I'm James. That's America. We're talking about the road to Dorado. Now,
There's many stairs that they walk up.
they locked up a bunch of stairs, but
And Tulio and Miguel are me anytime I have to climb any flight of stairs.
but before the stairs,
What's before the stairs?
before the stairs, when they're down at the bottom and they're getting claimed as gods, and then Tulio and Miguel decide that they need to talk about this, and they start
I know what
arguing.
you're gonna talk about.
This is maybe the biggest question mark of the entire movie.
Well, because they're like, prove
Right.
you are gods.
Right. The people go, prove you are gods. Now, I can suspend my disbelief enough to say that they could claim that the volcano erupting was them being gods.
That's what I thought they were gonna spin it with.
However,
That's not what happens.
instead of that, the volcano starts to go while they're all having this argument. And the chief is looking upset, and Zico Khan is looking... Zico Ken? Whatever the fuck. Zico Khan? Whatever. Ziegel is also looking perturbed. And it's going off. There's smoke, there's lava, it's exploding. And so finally, I believe it's Tulio yells, "Stop." And the volcano turns into a Hoover vacuum and sucks all the smoke and the lava and the rocks and the pyroclastic explosions and sucks it all back down inside with a sucking noise effect played on top. And so thusly they claim that they are the gods. Now, I'm no movie writer currently. Did learn how. But that is absolute insanity. There's no explanation for why the volcano sucked itself back in. There's no explanation for anything. And even later, you'll see that Zikul Khan is a somewhat magical person. He does some witchcraft later. But not even he has anything to do with the fucking volcano. It just sucks itself back up.
He's an illusionist at best.
I mean, he healed his hand after he slashed it with the dagger.
Touche.
So, I mean, like, he does stuff. It's like 2-bit magic later, but he does stuff. So the volcano just
proceeds to not.
It just decides that it's not going to anymore. The chief is not happy because Zikul Khan basically wins this first round of, I declared they are gods, and so now I have the power of the people behind me.
I think I get the chief. It took me a little bit, but I think I understand. I think he knows, which we talked about. I think he knows they aren't gods.
Okay.
I think his goal is to basically, he knows why they're there. Like, he knows.
They want gold.
They want gold. They want to get out of here. And that's all he wants. Like, he's like.
Cool, they're not here to fuck our shit up. Get them out of here.
Yeah, because if they are the gods that Zikul says they are, then it will be the age of the jaguar. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed and blah, 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 blah. And I don't think the chief wants that. Chief wants to just hang with his people and be chill.
It definitely feels like they're in a age of some sort of prosperity or something. Like, it's just good vibes abound. And then these guys show up and it is declared the age of the jaguar. And that immediately is just like, everyone's kind of upset about this.
So then they walk up the many stairs.
Then they walk up the many stairs and they get shown to the temple.
And they are basically offered, I can throw you a feast, I think is what the king says. And then Zikul says, and we can give you tributes.
Yeah, tribute.
Yeah, we can give you tribute.
Yeah, they don't say sacrifice, they just say tribute.
Yeah, they just say tribute. And they, which is one of
the newest meme.
One of my favorite memes from this movie. They look at each other and go, both?
Both
is good. And so they
then are left alone
in their temple, the god temple, at the top of the many stairs.
And Chief and the witch leave, and the homies start arguing about what they're going to do, what the next move is.
Yeah. Loudly. And not paying attention.
Chell is just there, like in the background, just sort of skulking.
To be fair, she was sent to put the relic back that she stole to that temple.
After they saved her ass a second time.
Yeah, to that temple. She was told to go put it away. So that's why she's in there.
Yes. So she finds out about... I mean, she also knows that they're not gods.
She's not fucking dumb.
Yeah. So she is there, hears about it.
Here's them confessing that they are openly not gods. They're con men. Sort
of like Shanghai's their whole operation into her also getting gold and getting the hell out of there because she wants to. Now this is part of her character that is not developed and is just sort of like the beginning seed of an idea that they never did anything with. She says out loud on multiple occasions that she also dreams of bigger. And we never find out what that is. What does she dream of that is bigger? What does she want? All we know is Chell wants out of El Dorado and she wants some money to make that happen.
Yep.
That's all we fucking know. And then here's the problem. From the time that she states her objective, which is to get out, she just becomes horny. And that is the character arc.
I would disagree with that. I think there's a lot of her she helps the guys, even though she's not even in the horny times, like she helps them get out of situations and...
Well, yeah, but they are her ticket out.
I think she's trying to really secure, like, in my head, I think it's more of like a, because they're close.
Yes.
They're best friends.
Yes.
I think she's trying to use her womanly ways to secure a tighter spot on the team.
Jezebel.
So that she's not immediately, she wants a bigger cut.
Yeah.
And she wants to make sure that they don't just immediately, like, screw her over at the first opportunity.
Which really wasn't even a suggestion that they could or would do that. But yeah, I mean, I get the motivation behind it, but she really does like abandon the concept of I dream of bigger in order to just focus on what she can do to ensure she escapes. But we never, I feel like it's just something we miss out on. Because, yeah, she's the hot one. Yeah, she's the femme fatale. Yeah, all that is great, whatever. She's the female presence in the cast. But they gave an option for her to have an interesting goal. Doesn't even have to be one that we see come to fruition. It just, she has the option to have that goal, and it's stated. And then nothing comes of it. It's kind of like if a volcano were to start erupting and then get sucked back into itself and no one says a word about it. It's kind of like that. It's just like, wow, that's very noticeable that that happened, but also we're not going to talk about why. So
they also spent a lot of time, and I know we talked about it a little bit last episode, but this is where we really get to get a really good look at Shell.
mm-hmm.
They spent a lot of time, and this is how you, let me tell you how many women were on this team for the road to El Dorado.
All of none.
There may be maybe one or two, but they were like background animator interns. They spent a lot of time animating everything on her.
Oh my god, except her face.
Except her face, which is the most plastered.
It's the thing you actually do see the most of.
I will be honest, Shell was on screen a lot, and I could draw every part of her except her face, because they did such a good job at doing exactly what they wanted to, and making everything else on her draw your attention to there.
It felt like a lot of the times, like, her eyes would stop being where they were and start drifting apart. Like Sid from Ice Age. Just, like, drifting too far apart to where it's like, you don't even look like a person, really.
Ice
and then
Age.
It drifts back.
Another great DreamWorks movie we didn't talk about.
Really just... It's true. But they really, like... But they also animated her boobs jiggle. And there
was time spent animating Shell. It's just not where you wanted it.
Attention to detail could probably have been executed across the whole person, head to toe. But instead of that, it was chin to toe, is where the detail was sort of dumped in there. But ooh-wee, ooh-wee, not a good look.
And this is also where I kind of really wanted to point out that, like, everyone on the thing, like, everyone in the movie has ulterior motives, and James kind of mentioned it a little bit last episode.
Everyone has an angle.
And that's actually a quote, again, because the movie likes to really point out itself. Tulia makes that a point when they're interrogating Shell, like, so what's your angle? Why do you want in on this? Like, they say everybody has an angle. And that, again, that's shown for every single character, even if it's not said. Yeah. Like, that's why I came in here with the big chief thing, is because you don't really know what the chief's motive is, but you can tell that he has one.
He is also just, even up before they say it out loud, you see he is in very clear, unspoken confrontation with his high priest.
Yeah, and they don't ever say it. It only
gets spoken by Miguel, like, 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Yeah, it's all background and reacting,
just
and
really good. It's just good.
Eye contact on everyone but Shell.
They dropped the ball in a couple of ways, but the background stuff is just so good. Next thing I've got is the party, where they get absolutely mega fucked.
Yeah, everyone does a lot of drugs. But before that, I had two notes, and then we can talk about the drug trip. That's not even a joke. It was legitimately they did drugs.
Yeah.
I feel like the City of Gold would be goldier. I'm just saying it. It's called the City of Gold. I was expecting, like, And even
it's mythology.
But even like the lead up song led me to believe that there was just going to be like streets of gold. And Miguel says it too, like you can pluck gold off the walls. And we got there and I was just like, it's a lot of rock.
You mean like most of Central American Aztec spaces?
Yeah, but I did feel like Tulio when he rolled up to like the stone and he was like, it's a really big rock. You know what? You can keep my share of the rock. It's a nice rock. They probably took all the other rocks. It's fine. Like it's just, yeah, there's gold, but we haven't seen a single piece of gold the entire time they've been there, other than one shell takes. Like it's just rocks and stone.
So
the second note before we get to the trigger.
I'm sorry.
Second one, the writing in this movie is really actually pretty great. Like there was a lot of time spent in the writing room.
I'm not gonna say the story was great.
Story not great. Dialogue
phenomenal.
Great. I also feel like they could have made a better movie if they had more time.
Probably.
And maybe they did.
Most movies can be made better if they have more time, but if you give a movie too much time, then it gets worse.
Then you end up with Avatar.
Don't talk about it.
Both of them, the Blue People and the Last Airbender.
I don't wanna. Jackson Rathbone should not have been in that movie.
I'm gonna put The Way of Water on here first.
No, I don't want to suffer through it more. I didn't like the first Avatar. I'm not gonna like the next one.
I didn't either. In fact, I constantly say that Avatar is 6 hours of my life that I will never get back. 3 for the first time I was forced to watch it with my family because everyone said it was amazing. And 3 for the time that I had to watch it in anthropology class.
It's just a VFX demonstration. It's not good.
However, Pandora World and Disney World, fucking phenomenal.
Anyways, The Road to El Dorado.
The Road to El Dorado, great writing.
So
drug trip, that's where
they do a bunch of drugs and they get mega fucked up. And then the horse gets drunk and then they wake up.
I will say, though, what I love about the drug montage is it first starts off like a regular musical montage. Like, there's some fantasticness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not till you get to the end of the song where you go, oh. That wasn't just, like, fun, quirky animation like The Lion King or anything where, like, you pretend that stuff's going on in the background. No, they're actually tripping.
It's like they stumbled their way into Fantasia briefly, and then they blacked out. And then they woke up and
we're hungover.
They were hungover, and the priest wakes them up, and
because now it's his turn.
Yeah, they're gonna do tributes now. And I called it from the moment that they went out to the edge of the temple. I was like, oh, they're gonna kill somebody, and so they were gonna do that. They were gonna yeet somebody off of a edge, and Miguel and Tulio show that they're beyond being con men. They do have consciences. And so they stop that, and the explanation as to why they stop that is something I'm going to apply in real life religiously. They stop it when they say that the stars are not aligned to receive this sacrifice. And Miguel goes in the background after saving the poor guy, and he goes, yeah, the stars, you heard it, can't do it. And it's just, that's the funniest fucking thing I've seen in a long time.
And
to just be like, nah, man, the stars aren't good.
Like, can't do it today, stars.
I was like, man, that's the start of Scientology, bitches. That's what that is. Those are those star sign motherfuckers.
That's one of my, I have 3 favorite lines.
The whole Earth is in retrograde. It's fucking stupid.
I have 3 favorite lines from the movie. It's I fought your sister, that's a compliment. Both is good, and
yeah, the stars can't do it.
You heard him. Stars can't. Not today.
It's so fucking dumb. Oh my god. So they basically just reject the priest and his sacrifice outright,
which gives the chief a win in his column because he's like, would you like some gold? He seizes
this opportunity to be like, we've got a shitload of gold if you want a different tribute. And they were like, because they're, bloodthirsty for gold, they were like, absolutely, we want gold. And so then they dump about a metric ton of gold over the side of a cliff into a whirlpool,
which is their deity. It's one of their deities. Is the whirlpool?
No. That's the portal to the
That's
realm
the portal
of the
to the
gods.
spirit world. That's
Yes.
right.
So, dumping all this gold, and Chell didn't really try, but tried to be like, no, and then it just kept happening. And so then she goes up to them, and they're like, what is happening? And she goes, they're sacrificing the gold for you. And they're like, oh, no. She goes, I'll take care of it.
This is another moment, though, that's, like, really great if you watch the background, because they're physical of just, like they're just
completely like a flashbang grenade went off in their brains. They just like totally blue screen. They're shut down as humans,
staring at this gold, just like then their whole character design in the background while Shell is talking to the chief is just like frozen. Like they literally
it's like
can't
someone
move.
hit the reset button to set them back to factory settings.
Absolutely,
really good. So Chell gets them to stop, and then she a very clever lie of like they want to bask in the glory of the tribute, and so they go, fuck it, take all the gold to the temple.
They want to bask. Bring it up there. Everybody up the stairs. Let's go.
So they do that. They get the gold in there, and then Miguel and first they have to plan the boat.
They have to go get the boat.
Right, because they
got all the gold up there, and they're like, sweet gold, and then
they're like, well, we got to spend this gold in Spain, and so now they need to get a boat, and so
they also declared Chell off limits.
Yes, they did handshake on no one's gonna fuck Chell, which is immediately broken at the first opportunity. I'm not even kidding. It takes exactly one moment.
It takes a hairbrush off the shoulder.
It takes one moment for Tulio's willpower to be like a fucking leaf in autumn and just crumple to dust.
It's not even the front of her or even her butt. It's just her back. She's just sitting there.
It's the side eye. Side eye. Stop it. Don't you do that to me right now. So they have this meeting with the chief where they need a boat made so they can sail back to Spain.
To the spirit world.
Bearing in mind, this is still two dudes who have, as far as we can tell, no experience doing anything real ever. They're just con men. They're bullshitting at all times. And so they have also, at this point, determined that there is friction between the chief and Zikl-Kun.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide that they are going to leverage that into getting the chief to make them the boat faster. Very good writing. It's good writing. So they do that. They go back up to the temple. They've declared Chell off limits. Miguel wants to go wander around the place because he likes the look of the city of El Dorado. And Tulio is like, no, far too risky, can't do it. And so they
literally almost killed people today. We need to just stay here.
We need to just chill. So they bicker back and forth for a little bit, and then Chell starts meddling. And so they agreed that they would stay up there. They weren't going to go meander. They were going to stay up in the temple. Chell goes over to Miguel and tells him how dope the city is, which is just throwing gasoline on a fire.
And she says, I'll cover for you.
Oh, yeah, and then she does. She just basically gives him permission to fuck off. So he fucks off, leaves.
Which I do think is very important, because it helped us find out the priest is... And Miguel has a line about this. He's like, it seems like I've been giving a lot of orders, haven't I?
Yeah.
Because they're torturing the people down there, basically.
Pretty much. So Chell says, I'll cover for you, and then immediately doesn't do that. She doesn't even try to cover for him, because that's not what her goal is. Her goal is to get those cheeks clapped. So...
That was not a sentence you said out loud.
Because it's not even romantic what she wants. She says it out loud. She just wants to get fucked. That's what her whole arc is at this point. It's not even a romance angle. Tulio wants to romance her. And she's like, fuck me hard and let's go to Spain. That's what she's looking for. She's not even trying to have a nice time. She's just looking for the end results. Fuck me, that's so unfortunate, because it could have been better. You could have had your cake and eaten it too. You could, like, 4 more lines of dialogue makes the character so much better. Fuck. So, Miguel fucks off into the city.
And then oral.
And then immediately, like, it's just so fast how quickly she just hits feminine divinity, and Tulio's whole willpower is just eviscerated.
Gone.
He's like,
she literally gives him a massage
Yep.
for like 2 seconds, and he's like, well, fuck, I'm done.
He's like,
Brushes her hair.
Where did Miguel go? Oh, everything is terrible. And she goes, it's not that bad. And he goes, oh, I guess it's not. Like, come on, dude.
And
Oh my god. And then oral.
Because it wasn't anything else.
They weren't making out. They were fucking neck deep in it. When Seiko rolls up on him. So Miguel and Seiko really missed each other on the way.
Well, because he's been down there for a little bit. That's what sends
Seiko up there.
He's down there fraternizing with
and
mortals.
What Miguel finds is that they have basically turned the soldiers out to bully the city into being indoors and
basically enslavement.
Yeah, it's getting. They imply a lot of broad strokes bad things are happening and never actually show anything bad happening at all, which is good because they make you feel uneasy. Like the way they play this power play is so good because it makes you upset. It makes you feel uneasy. You never see anything bad happen. You only hear that maybe it could be happening or that maybe it is happening.
Well, you ordered this. You ordered that. You ordered this. And Miguel's
like, the fuck I did. So he goes about to right some wrongs. Seiko-kun goes to fucking deal with Tulio, figure out what that is all about. Because he still believes they're gods.
Yeah, he still thinks they're gods.
He's like a maniacal villain who thinks he's going to use these divine beings to get his end goals.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. That is top level
according
crazy
to his
villains.
prophecy, that's what's like, again, he's the king of reading into things and being like, well, yeah.
He's so easy to trick.
It said that. It could have said a million things. It could have been interpreted a million ways, but that's how he interpreted it. I'm looking at a lot of religion here. Just saying.
Yeah, it's just So the basically Seiko figures out over the I really skipped the whole like game portion of everything.
No, that's not yet. Oh, well, yeah, if you jump straight from there, then yeah, you're skipping. But so Miguel's down fraternizing, Ezekiel goes and gets Tulio, breaks up the very much implied oral. And then takes Tulio down there to basically get Miguel to like
get it together.
Pull it together. And then through the course of Miguel being down there, he started playing a game, which is actually a real game that is and was played in Latin America and in South America. Which it's that one, and I don't know if you've seen it, and I don't know the name of it, but it's 2 walls with hoops. It's basically like their version of basketball, like hoops way up on the side, and you have to shoot the thing horizontal hoops, or I guess vertical hoops. You have to shoot the ball through the vertical hoop.
It's just better Quidditch.
Or basketball. It's literally just basketball, the hoops just turn the other way.
It kind of is, yeah.
The Miguel and Tulio are not good at sports.
No, they're very bad at sports.
They're real bad. Not athletic types. Very much artsy types, not athletic.
So now they have to cheat.
And Chell, saving their asses as always. She deserves a bigger cut. She was arguing for a bigger cut with Tulio.
Hey, she's got quite the set of assets, including, but not limited to, her brain.
Yes. She comes up with the fact that we're going to use the world's most resilient. Don't forget, I said it'd come back around. The armadillo!
He's back.
The armadillo has been here the entire fucking time. And will now help the boys win the frickin' tournament. And, because basically gods don't lose. That was the
That's what they said. Gods don't lose.
That was the whole the whole motivation given for them to play this game is that gods don't lose. This is a very special traditional game.
So the ultimate comeback and the reason the movie gets to continue going forward is because the armadillo knows enough that it has to send itself through the hoop at the behest of the two scrawny fucks a certain number of times. And then he does it almost as many times as he needs to do it.
He gets really dizzy.
He gets really dizzy. He does it
and bruised.
all except for one time, and then a regular ball goes through.
And it's very much like the dice thing. It's like the last one they have to like make happen on their own, and they still technically couldn't.
Bullshit their way into it. Miguel takes an elbow to the face from his boy, but manages to get the spinning back kick, gets it lodged in there. The horse kicks the wall. It goes through. They win the game.
I was like, but unlike in the dice, they still didn't technically get that win on their own because the horse had to kick it in.
Yep. So now I knew we were going to have trouble when Miguel had actual blood come out of his face.
Why?
Because you never see blood in a children's movie.
I was about to bring that up, and it was one of my notes, is, I'm gonna just keep giving this animation and this movie team props where props are due. Like, James is right, you don't see blood in animated children's movies. It's, like, not allowed.
Certainly not in 2000.
Yeah, you can't do that. You cannot show any amount of blood. And they did. So, like, good on you.
What happened then? Because they made another God move. Or Miguel did. And it was like, oh, you're overreaching again. You're overreaching again.
Yeah, the little voice in your head. The priest guy goes, well, now, because he only has one fucking thought, and that's just kill a bunch of people, but...
He just wants bloodshed.
Yeah, that's basically all he cares about is bloodshed and chaos. And so he wants to... He's like, well, surely you want the other team sacrificed to you, right?
And Miguel, Heart of Gold, goes, absolutely the fuck not.
We're done with sacrificing. No more sacrificing.
And he goes, I'm the speaker of the gods. And Miguel goes, the gods are speaking for themselves now. And I was like, oh, baby, that was hard what you said. That was super dope. That's a bad decision, but that was super dope.
Miguel put on his big boy pants that day.
He did. He took his cock out and smacked the guy in the forehead with it. That's what he did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kill you.
I just wasn't expecting that sentence to come out at that moment.
Listen, that's what he did, all right?
I was giving him, like, real big kudos. Like, I was like, yeah, he put his big boy pants on.
Yeah, put his big boy pants on. He's a big dick motherfucker.
And you just came out and said he slapped his dick on his forehead, so...
That's what he did. He whipped it out. He said, I'm in charge.
I put... my note for this whole scene was, that, like... While that's cool and all, you just... it's... The guy's really into sacrificing, and James is right. When Miguel, like, stepped in there to, like, try to save him, like, yeah, it's the right thing to do, but Miguel just keeps overshooting. Like, he needs to take his wins when he's got them.
You also, like, there's ways to get around the sacrifice thing without just constantly shutting it down. Like, change it. Kill livestock. You know? Like, find another alternative route that will satisfy some people without causing this much more attention to go on.
Plus, it's basically like he just undid their entire religion by saying that.
Basically.
Because that, to be fair, before they got there, that is their priest. This is their, like, he has the texts. Like, this is their way of doing things in their religion, and just to go in there and be all like,
yeah, fuck you.
Nope, not doing that anymore. That would be
bold.
So earth-shattering for not just the priest, like the whole entire town should be like, what do you mean?
Okay. Ooh, let's get funky for just a brief second.
All right, let's go for it.
Imagine, if you will,
okay,
that we scrap a portion of the Bible and we just say Jesus came back just to, like, scope out what was going on. And he came back to the place where the most people who claim his name is, and that would be here, in North America. And he rolled up and he was like, huh, yeah, we're not doing any of that. None of that. You know, it would be the same thing. Everyone would go, What's this guy on about?
Yeah, like it literally.
It would be the same reaction.
Like if he came in and he's like, "Why the hell are y'all taking communion? No more communion." Everyone would be like,
every pastor is going to react the same way that Ezekiel Ken did, and I said his name a different way every time. Every pastor would react the same way. They'd be like, "That's no God.
Nope.
That's no God.
Nope."
And while it was true in the movie, oh boy. The parallel here is not lost on me if that's the way they wrote it.
Yeah, people would lose their
my God.
fucking minds. And they would sit there and look at the Son of Christ and be like,
and look at Joel
nope.
Osteen and go, I think this Joel guy, he's got it figured out. Prosperity, baby. Fuck off.
If we want to talk about someone that just briefly successfully pulled off like this type of con of pretending to be a god,
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith really nailed
the
that
Mormons
one on
have
the
got
head.
it.
Like, fuck, he just rolled up and was like, nah, none of that happened. What really happened
he
was
really did.
It was actually they rowed boats over to America.
The Jews, they rode the boats.
And the Garden of Eden was actually in where Missouri is. And
Jesus was born in Kentucky.
Yeah, and that's what actually happened. And then they just were like, yeah,
okay.
Makes sense.
Madness. Holy moly. All right, we have to move past that because I'll live in that realm all day
All
long.
right. Gods can bleed.
Gods can bleed. The blame game.
Well, the only reason I posted that, and then again we're gonna get into religions and blah blah blah. So I'm gonna dip briefly into this is because the whole big thing is Ezekiel goes up. Ezekiel.
Fuck, we're bad.
Ezekiel goes and he's like, "Do you know why gods ask for blood sacrifices?" And I was like,
his homie goes, huh?
And I honestly did too. I was like, wait, is this like an actual thing? Is this why people thought you had to sacrifice to, like, people to the gods?
Blood for the blood god! Skulls for the skull throne!
Is because they can't bleed because they don't have blood, so you're going to sacrifice blood to them? Like, I was like, is that like a legitimate thing that they actually pulled and was like a real... I don't know. I haven't never thought about it a day in my life until he goes... You want to know why why we give sacrifice to the god? Why we do blood sacrifices? Because
gods don't bleed.
Gods don't bleed, and I was like, what? Like something I've never given thought to a day in my life. I've suddenly been thinking about nonstop.
So from there, Ezekiel Kun really becomes just very, very much the most
cartoon villain
to villain it up. We start falling into a few more stereotypes, which is at this point it's kind of fine because the character arcs have run their course. The chief, who we're convinced has not been he has not really been tricked at all. And
this is where he says it, because Miguel's really wavering. He wants to stay. And
yeah, Miguel wants to stay and hang out with these people. He loves the people. He loves the area. He's enjoying a peaceful life. And Tulio wants to go spend money back in Spain
with his interest partner. Yeah.
I don't have a good word that I think I should say on air.
But the reason that we really get the tell here that the chief has not been fooled is because Miguel says something to him and then goes, "Oh, he was mentioning how he wanted to delay the building of the boat because he wants to stay here longer." And the chief goes, "You can just stay.
You can just stay."
And then Miguel basically,
no,
that's my partner. And then the chief goes, "In that case, I better get to like basically
go find you your rope," because
that's what he said he needed more of. And Miguel was like, "No, you don't have to do that. My mistake." And the king calls back to something Miguel had said.
Is human.
Because Miguel had told him earlier, he's like, "No worries, to err is human, like it's fine." And then the chief quoted it back at him, and you're like, "Oh, homie knows."
Oh, he knew the whole
fucking time. Because he says it with the same look that he'd been giving through the whole movie, and that's kind of, again, it was such attention to detail in a movie that lacks that in so many ways. There's such attention to detail that he makes the same face that he made every single time. Like they made some outlandish claim, and it just ties it really together, and you go, oh,
he really did know.
He knew.
So
moment one.
So then Miguel goes back up to the temple where he overhears, and this is where we have to have our third story beat, and that is that there has to be strife between protagonists in the movie, because sometimes friends fight. And he overhears that Tulio is kind of like, man, fuck Miguel. I'm gonna
Essentially.
take my gold and my bitch and go back to Spain.
I think he said forget Miguel, but you could throw fuck in there very easily and it'd fit just fine.
Yeah. So Miguel is like, all right, well, forget me, I guess, and leaves. Just to continue, he basically just sort of immerses himself back into the culture. He's got the headdress, he's got the earrings on.
He just wants to be loved.
He just wants to be there, man. He's in the moment. He's
He also finds out that like they are
an
couple,
item,
couple,
right? Which is just an extra layer of betrayal. And then we get a nice little cut over to Tikal, who has committed a casual murder by bumping off his head warrior guy into the potion pit because he decided that it was missing. The fucking instruction manual for the potion was quite literally asking for a human wearing a leopard on his head, which is what his head guard was doing. So he bumped him into the vat, effectively killing him immediately. All this magic shit happens. Does he even drink the potion then?
No,
I didn't even notice it, or he just like triggered it.
Yeah, just like absorbs into him.
So he becomes this sort of like puppet master for this giant statue of a jaguar.
Because it's the year of the jaguar.
Right. And he said, see if you can prove your divinity now or whatever, or something to that effect, something villainous. And he basically puppeteers this giant statue out to try and kill the boys.
Guy really needs to stop reading so much.
Also, I did laugh because the potion that the guard offered him first didn't have two things. It didn't have the guard in it, but it also didn't have a tiny umbrella in it, and he had to add the tiny umbrella before Zekel would even take it from him, which is hilarious to me because that means that the recipe also calls for a tiny umbrella in the potion. Basically, there's a chase sequence. The homies get cornered.
The chase sequence ends with a callback because there is a big long run around. The jaguar chases them, and they end up in the place with the whirlpool.
Right, the sacrifice tower.
And they do a callback to the bit James and I talked about in the first one,
where they just start fighting each other.
Yeah, to give a bigger distraction because you get so invested in the drama.
Which is exactly what happens.
Yep,
they start fighting. Zekel just goes, and like they're like slapping each other around. They're about to get into like what looks like genuine fisticuffs, and they both spin at the same time, and they both punch him in the face. I don't know if you've ever been punched in the face before. I have like twice, and I cannot imagine how awful it would be to get hit in the face at the same time with two fists. That sounds terrible. And so they knock his ass over the edge into the whirlpool. He does like a little burst of energy as he falls, and the panther like pounces, but it doesn't get them, and it just sort of topples the tower in after him. They catch themselves on vines, and he gets run all the way out to past where the hidden entrance to Dorado is. The homies look at each other. Tulio is jazzed that they succeeded. He can't believe it worked twice. Miguel is angry still. He's angry still. What? What happened? What just happened to you? You just got a look of shock on your face.
Okay. I would just like to point out there is a big plot hole in this movie that I only just thought of because you mentioned it again, that he goes down the whirlpool and out to the entrance.
Bounced around.
First of all, we never mentioned Cortez has landed on the island and is now making his way to El Dorado, because that just becomes important in a little bit. But my thought process is, okay, so when they were making the tributes, they were dumping all this gold into the whirlpool, right?
Right, so all that gold is probably settled under the water in that cavern.
Yeah, so you could just go scoop all that water, like, from the little pool that's down there. And
sure.
So Cortez could have very easily just found more gold, like, literally right to his right.
You just gotta dredge the water.
Yeah. I don't know. It just, I just realized in my head that all that gold would have been there, and they could have taken it with them back to Spain.
The other plot hole that you're not considering is, what about if they ever sacrificed other people into this whirlpool before? Where did they go?
There's just bodies and gold in that pool.
Unless they also had the great fortune to just get spat out. Are they just like wandering around on the island?
There's a secondary tribe of just excommunicated Eldoradians.
They're like, well, I could never find the secret entrance again, so I just built a house over here in this neighborhood. Like, that'd be hilarious. So Tikal Khan, once again, very easy to trick. Guy is not good at paying attention. And I didn't write another note about the actual end of this movie because the movie for me ended there. Because then we just had one more threat to deal with, and that was Cortez.
Because Zico goes out to where they get sped out at the entrance, and Cortez is there, and he basically is going to guide them back to prove that, because he thinks that it's another person from the prophecy in his book, basically.
Yeah, that's when I wrote that he was really easily tricked. It's like he looked up and they overlaid the image from his book on Cortez, and it's the same body shape and head and helmet, and you go, oh, you're just stupid.
And so he basically starts guiding them back to El Dorado. Someone, a scout that was probably watching the entrance, ran and was like, hey, we're going to have intruders. What do we do? And this is where Tulio decides to sacrifice all his gold to save the town and his friend, who's decided he lives here now. So he comes up with a plan that basically they're going to Jack Sparrow the fuck out of this shit and run the boat into some pillars to basically knock the cave closed.
They got to knock down a big statue to create a giant wave. They have to then take their gold boat and ride the wave and turn the boat sideways somehow so that it hits the two big supporting columns that are in the cave and will cause a cave in. That's the plan. It's not very good, if I'm honest. But it does go off without a single hitch.
It's a very Jack Sparrow plan. Like, what?
Yes.
How the fuck do you even come up with that shit?
I don't know. But it almost goes wrong, and then fucking Miguel comes sprinting in on the horse to save the day. He unfurls the sail so they get the speed they need so they don't get crushed. And Tulio's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, you didn't think I was just going to let you leave without also, like, giving up my most recently acquired hope and dream, did you? And they go, oh, okay. And so they just go off into the cave, spin the boat, hit the tower, or hit the columns, cause the cave in, lose the boat, lose the gold, but they do get kicked out to safety, just in time to hide from Cortez's goons. As they roll up, and Tikal realizes that there is no longer a hidden entrance to El Dorado. He doesn't know of any other way to get into El Dorado either. And so they drag him kicking and screaming back into the fog, and Cortez decides that there is nothing for them here.
The end.
That's the end of the movie. So I thought it was pretty good.
I feel like the ending sucks because there's not like really a resolution.
No, the homies
anything.
are just like, I guess we'll go adventure with our weird new girlfriend, kind of.
They're gonna have a threesome.
Yeah, probably. She seems like she'd be down.
Yep.
She doesn't even have real feelings, so.
I really don't like.
It's not that I don't like Chell. I want them to have done 4 more hours of thought about what Chell could be. Like maybe a whole entire person. Instead of a sex machine.
Yeah.
Who wants gold.
Yeah.
That's all she is, folks. And it's a shame because she's the only female character in the movie and she could have been much more. She could have had, like, lore. We don't even know what she did before she became in the movie. We just know that she was stealing. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Chell could have been great and instead is not great. It's a shame. It's a shame, really.
Tulio and Flynn Rider would be great friends.
Forget Miguel, I guess.
Forget Miguel, I guess.
Jesus. 8 out of 10.
I stopped it.
Oh, okay.
I can start it again if you'd like to
I
hear.
don't give a shit.
I just thought it was a really good ending.
It was good. I give it a... No, I don't give it an 8 out of 10. There's too many glaring errors. I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I give it a 5. It's a good movie. I will never watch it again.
It gets a 6.5 because I've just like seen 7 things that I'm going to absolutely rip directly into D&D campaigns.
You also have a lot of new one-liners that you're adding into your repertoire.
It's just lodged in the dictionary.
Stars.
Can't stars.
Alrighty.
The first time I seriously answer someone when they ask me to do something and I go, it can't stars, they're gonna go, what? And I'm gonna go, can't do it.
It's gonna be one of those things that we're gonna go to Christmas this year and just be saying, and people are gonna look at us like we're absolutely
where did you get this
insane.
lingo in the last 6 months since I saw you last? What the fuck?
Can't stars.
Can't stars.
Sorry.
I'm a star girl now.
It's just what we're gonna say every time we can't stream. Now we're gonna come back next time.
Can't stars.
Can't
I'm
stars.
an astrology bitch, okay?
Yeah, no, I don't really have another ending.
I'm all out of good jokes.
We'll be back on Monday, unless we can't because the stars. Yeah, no, that's it. That's the end.